Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So, good morning, everybody. So let us start our lecture today. And today is September 21, 2021. So a few more announcements. First of all, you see that I sent you an announcement. Okay. Here is the announcement. This announcement is for both section 2 and section 3. Okay. So your test 1 will be next day after tomorrow on lecture time, 23rd, and this will be during class time, and it's online and with lockdown browser with an active webcam. You need to have a webcam. Okay, you need to have a webcam, a working webcam. So, and I also uploaded to this one is the attachment. Download the attachment for the study guide. Okay, and the test will be in the quizzes section. So if you go to the quizzes, but before you okay. Okay. So please, before you take the test, please complete this one. Is practice quiz. That means it's called requires respondents lockdown browser. So it will guide you through the lockdown browser installation and testing your webcam and lockdown browser. Okay, please do it hopefully today and during office hour, because if you get stuck with this, I cannot help you. So you need to talk to the ICTER people to get help. In case your computer has any issue, I cannot help you. You need to go to ICTER or call them. Okay. Another thing is that assignment error. How about the quizzes? Okay. Quiz 2 need to be uploaded soon. I will upload the quiz. Quiz 2. I forgot to upload quiz 2 this week. I will upload. Oh, quiz 2 is here. Okay. So quiz 2 is due. Yeah. Quiz 2 is due tonight, right? Please complete quiz 2. And it is due tonight. Please complete quiz 2. Okay, and for the assignments, okay. Oops, I see nobody submitted assignment. Assignment 3. So as I said, I will extend the assignment for a few days, maybe 4 or 5 days. Okay, hopefully 4 or 5 days. So I will extend it for. So let me see that next lecture. So 23 will be test, and then 28. Okay, I will extend it for at least 5 days. Okay, if 4 or 5 days I will extend it. Assignment 3, and also I will defer the assignment 4. Okay, in another week. So we have time between assignment 4 and assignment 5. Okay. Then let us go to the course content and let us be ready for the one second.
I also have a question. We're allowed to use the book on the test, right?
Sorry?
We're allowed to use the book on the test,
Yeah.
the printed version of the book.
Yes, you are allowed to use book. So far we discussed 5 chapters. Okay. Mainly we started from chapter 2, object oriented programming with C++, and then container classes, pointer and dynamic arrays, and linked list. Okay, so your test will be open book and open notes, only with printed materials, but no like electronic device. Okay, so let us open the book and okay, and start from the beginning. Okay, so just review and recap from the beginning. The chapter 1, it says the phases of software development. So can anyone please tell me what are the phases in modern software development? How softwares are built or developed in companies, in industries? Has anyone idea? Any idea?
But first, we need to get the requirements.
Okay, that's great. Then we do requirement analysis, right? The term is called requirement analysis. We get the requirement, we analyze the requirement, and we see if the requirements are doable. If we can do it, right? So people, especially software, are developed for many novice people who do not have any idea about programming and how computer system and programming languages work. They don't know. So they may ask you to do something that is not doable. Okay. So for instance, someone can ask you, okay, hey, I will give you $1 million. Okay. So develop a program for me so that I can go to moon. Okay, and when you run the program, it takes me to the moon, Okay, it is not doable, right? So as we know that in programming language perspective, we cannot do that. We cannot write a program that can drive sorry that can drive airplanes, control airplanes. The airplane can take someone to the moon, but our program cannot take it itself. Okay. Okay, then what is the next step?
Designing the software.
Yes, design software, that means making a scratch. Okay, just maybe it's handwritten design. It may be handwritten design. You should initially start from a scratch, that how the layout will be, how the functionality will be. Okay, how the each of this module will work and will be connected to each other, and how they will be interacting, right? So starting from very scratch, then design goes complicated, complicated, and complicated. Okay, then what is the next step? The book is says implementation. What is meant by implementation? What is the next step?
Actually creating the code.
Yes, creating the code and then developing code. And then what is the next step?
Running and testing.
Yes, running and testing and debugging, and then finally implementation. What is actually sometimes it's running, writing code, testing and debugging. Sometimes it falls, this fall into design phase, or some people they would say that this fall into design, in between design and implementation. So the actual implementation, what is the actual implementation means?
I believe that it's like taking whatever you design and implement it into code.
Actual implementation, for instance, maybe if it is standalone program, then install it to the user computer. If it is a, for instance, web-based program, okay, host it in a web server, in a computer, in a cloud server. Okay. And then there is also, maybe the book does not have that, there is one more phase, the last phase in software development. Can you guess what is the phase?
The actual release of the code or the software.
After that, yes, it's release, that means implementation. And what is that? What is the next one? Maintenance, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, software needs to be maintained, and then it needs to be updated or maintained. Okay. So is anyone here is taking or has taken a software engineering course? Any software engineering course?
I'm taking it currently.
You're taking currently, right? In this semester?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. In a software engineering course, you learn all about this, how to write a specification, how to design, how to code, like for instance, how to debug, test, and how to implement, and then all of these phases. Okay,
Yeah.
so these are not. Are you learning those stuffs in your software engineering course?
Yeah, we're learning the methodology, like waterfall, incremental, iterative, and
Okay.
group.
Waterfall, like the old model and the new model. Okay. It has some maintenance, and then it has more detail about. So these are the phases of software development life cycle. It's short. It's called SDLC, software development life cycle. Okay. The next chapter, chapter 2, is discuss about the abstract data types and C++ classes. Okay, so we know the basic data types, right? There are 8 primitive data types: character, byte, short, int, long, float, double, and boolean. These are the primitive data type or built-in data type. That there are also built-in data type that is called string type. Okay, why the data types are called abstract? And in addition to the primitive data types, we know how to create our own data type through class, right? Through structure, maybe C++ has the concept of structure. We do not cover structure, but then class. So have you understood so far that why the data types are called abstract? What do you mean by the term abstract in terms of programming and computing and computer science?
Like the person doesn't need to know what is going on underneath the surface level. They can use it without knowing how it's implemented.
Yes, it is a concept. So abstraction is a concept that we do not know more in detail, but we have some idea. Okay. So for instance, how to use it, then we do this. We do not know we do not need to know the underlying concept in detail. For instance, when we start our car, we drive our car, right? So we click on the start button in modern cars, or we put the keys in and then click on the keys and then it starts. So in the internally, when we click, within a second, there are a lot of functionalities are going on inside. But in order to drive a car, we do not know what are going inside, right? As long as we can start our car, then we are happy and we can drive. If we want to be a mechanic or a mechanical engineer, then we know the inside. So similarly, our data type, whenever there is a Boolean data type, for instance, here double data type right here. So in data type, see that we don't know inside how these work. Actually, the operating system and compiler, they work together for this internal implementation. It is not our concern how they work. So for instance, integer, Boolean, double. Okay, and then with the combination of primitive data types and built-in data types, we create our own data type that is called class. Okay, and we know that a class name start with class keyword and the class name, and the class body start with opening and closing parentheses, and in C++ it ends with a semicolon. Okay, so class in C++ in all programming languages, object-oriented programming languages, these class attributes has, like, these are called like public, private. You see that these are called access modifiers. Access modifier means how these elements, these fields. The class contains two kinds of things, some data elements and some functions, in order to access those variables. So this is the variables, or class variables or field, and these are the member variables or functions. Okay, so you can give any order. So the private, you can give the data first and then the methods later. Okay, so these are the methods, for instance, shut off and shift, and the last two next two method are flow and ease one. So these two methods, you see that next two methods, these are constant. What do we mean by a constant method? If I ask you to give an example of a constant method, can you write a constant method?
I mean, I kind of think of it as a getter.
Yes, that's good. It's a good idea.
So it's just going to return the data value. without changing it.
Yes. Okay, the setter method, we have also setter method, right? We know the setter method. Setter method is used for set data, right? And getter method is to get data. So constant method only returns value, it cannot change any value. So then what is the difference between private and public attributes? You understand, right? So public attributes are accessible by anywhere from any other class. If that class inherits this class. Okay. Also within the class, this method, these are public, these are accessible by this class member or any other class that have access to this class. And private members are accessible only by its own members. And through its own members, if like for instance, getter method is public usually. So if getter method access this position, private value, and getter method returns a value, the getter method is itself a public method, then through the getter method, other class member can access this private member. So that is secure access. Okay. And how do we create an instance of a class? So this is the statement, right? So this is the throttle, my throttle. Okay, throttle control. For instance, here using a class name. Okay, so just use a class name, and then throttle is my class name, and then control is my object name. Instance of a class is called an object, but instance of a traditional or built-in variable or primitive data type is called a variable. For instance, position here, its type is int, so here position is we call this variable. But throttle, you see the throttle, you see that the modern convention is that you should put T's in uppercase for class name. All other languages use, but C++ does not use. Still we use, but this book did not use the T in uppercase. So sometimes it may be confusing. So, but if we have uppercase, for instance, T would be over here uppercase, then it was easy to understand. And the variables are in lowercase or camel case. Then how do we access a method? Just using dot operator, say control dot start off, control dot shift. For instance, this start off method, it seems to be a constant method because it does not pass any parameter. Okay. But by looking outlook, we cannot confirm or we can guess. Okay, for this one control, it passes the parameter 3, value 3, integer value, so it is non-constant method. Okay, now we know how to create a class, right? And do you know what is a constructor? What is a constructor?
It's the template which objects should be created from.
Okay, so actually this is the definition of a class. You say the definition of a class. So constructor is a method declared within a class that has exactly same name of its class name, and a constructor does not return any value. So a constructor does not have any return type or return statement. Here if we see throttle is my class, if we search for throttle with parentheses, you see this one. Then this is a throttle constructor. A class can have multiple constructors, right? If there are more than one constructors, the constructor methods will be different in terms of the number of parameters. This is one parameter or type of parameters. Maybe one is integer type, or another is float type, another is double type. This is constructor. A constructor must be declared within its class. So this is the declaration only. The implementation will be, this is the constructor without any parameters. It's called default constructor. Default constructor uses default value for the parameters. So there are two constructors over here, throttle and throttle in size. This one is called default constructor. It will take default value for this data field, position and top position. And whenever it has, so whenever you give this an argument, it will not default, it is parameterized. So a class can have multiple constructors like this. Then the default one, you see that how it is implementing, how it is making. So whatever default value you like, you can give the top value for this one as 1 or 0, and for position whatever you want. But whatever you want for this one, how do you design? So that will be your default throttle object. Will take that position and that value. Okay, you see a constant function over here. So the constant function, it returns a position. Okay, this is means, what does anyone knows what is this one, this statement? What does this statement do? Who can tell me?
What's the question?
What does this statement do? That's the selector.
It returns either true or false depending on if position is greater than 0.
Yes, if position is greater than 0, then it will return true. If position is less than or equal to 0, then it will return false. So this is why this function is return type is Boolean. And this line, a single line, could be written in multiple statements. For instance, if position greater than 0, return true, else return false. That means. Okay. So I will give you I will give you a template of a class, okay, with some blank code with some methods, and I may ask you to write the complete program. Okay, so for instance, I will give you some blank positions, and then you have to fill out this value, okay, for a class. So please make sure that you practice the programs that I gave you in the class. I send you link of the programs in class. So I asked you to practice. Please make sure that you review those, okay? Then the next chapter, chapter 3, about the container class. Okay. That we discuss with a back class. So, so what is a container class? Why it is used for a container class?
It's a class we can use to store collections of items or whatever value type we want.
Yeah. Okay, then, okay. So in C++ program, you see that we use the type diff command. Is type diff int value type. So what is the purpose of this type diff command? How it is used? Give an example. If I ask for a question like this. Type diff is a built-in keyword, okay? So type diff, that means, so please read this statement, okay? So type diff actually it allows you to do flexibility to concise programming. For instance, you are, by using type diff, you are just renaming a type. Then what is the benefit of renaming a type? For instance, you are using, you are declaring some integer type variables. I said some. It may be one or multiple, more than one. Then, if the type is int, then instead of telling int data type for each of those, that you can do in modern other languages, do that. So in C++ format is that you see type diff int new value type. So we are not giving actually value type, we are giving a meaningful name. For instance, we can say, our int value is maybe number. Okay, we can say serial number, or we say rank number, okay, for year, or semester number, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like this. Okay, so later, if we need to change this type, okay, we can change only one place. For instance, instead of say int, we do not need to go to for different type. For instance, instead of semester number, if we want to go with the string version, in like for first semester, second semester, third semester, fourth semester, something like this. Then we can just change in one place. Instead of int, we can say string. Then it will be changed for all places. There is. So type define command is giving a new name of your type. Okay. Which type? The existing type. Okay. Then we learn the implementation of the back class, right? So the container class, it holds values, a set of values. Okay. So for the test, you will not be asked to write a complete program, but part of the program. Okay. part of the program so that I will see that you understand the concept. So the throughout from chapter 3 to 5, we discussed the back class implementation. This is the back class implementation in chapter 3. We discussed using an array, traditional array. And in chapter 4, we discussed the built-in back class implementation with a pointer. And in chapter 5, I shared the program last lecture, back class implementation with a linked list. So the next chapter is pointer. So what is a pointer and why it is used for? What is a pointer?
It's a variable that stores an address of another variable.
Yes. Pointer, the purpose of using pointer is to hold the address of another variable. Then what is the benefit? What is the benefit of using pointer? The main purpose of using pointer is to implement dynamic data structure. So for instance, if you know someone address, for instance, if you know someone phone number, okay, the phone number, if you know, then no matter where that person is living or residing or standing, if you know his phone number, and if you and that person has a phone, active phone, and if you call him, then the call will be ringing in that person's phone. That is a dynamic, and even if he moves to another place, same thing will happen. So all of this, the modern life technologies, these things are implemented with dynamic things, right? Not in static. But the static phone is the land phone. Well, for instance, there is some land phone in office phone. Many years ago, we did have, a few years ago, we have land phone. That is fixed, right? So it is fixed in an office or in a house or in a store. You usually do not carry the land phone with you. If you only go to a place, then you can use the land phone. So that is the static array concept, and dynamic array concept is the mobile phone. Okay. So there are few notations we use to declare a pointer and to retrieve the value of a pointer, right? The symbol that we use star in order to declare a pointer, and in order to retrieve a value of that pointer position, we use another symbol that is called ampersand, right? So please make sure that you understand how a pointer is declared. Okay, so here a pointer P1, P2, these are integer pointer, and pointer P1, that means this is in type is integer, that means it can hold another integer type variable's address. So a pointer of integer type cannot hold an address of another non-integer type value. Maybe non-integer, I said maybe double type value, Boolean type value, double type value, or float type value. So pointer type and the actual the variable what it will be pointing, they should match. They need to match, otherwise it will not work. So I will give you some statement like this, okay, and then I will ask you to give the output of this statement. Okay, so I share a program with you, so please practice that program for pointer, and make sure that you understand these symbols, like star p. What happens when I say p1 equal to %I, whenever I say pn equal to p2 equal to %j, and the other statement whenever you say star p2 equal to star p1, what happens inside. So please read this page, okay, and understand this. You will get a question from pointer, and this, please read these few pages, okay, so you'll understand the concept. Now, how a dynamic array is designed using pointer. Okay, so pointers, in this lecture, at the end of this lecture, I give you an example, a program, and it has some examples how the throttle class is, the back class is de-implemented with dynamic array using pointer. So please understand this one, okay? So this operator, the new operator. What is the function of new operator? So new operator, it allocates actually memory, okay, for a dynamic variable of a specific type and returns a pointer to the newly allocated memory. Okay. So this is the potential question. What is the new operator and what it is used for? So please read this, okay? And also C++ has a destructor method, right? In addition to the constructor, there is a destructor method. So the destructor method that starts with a tilde character. Let's see if we have this one. Okay, the destructor. Destructor method, it is created with a, it started with a tilde character. Let me see. So writing destructor is very simple. Just tilde character. Okay. Then the class name is bag, and then open and closing parentheses. So what does this destructor do? So it deletes the object. So modern languages like Java, C#, they don't have destructor, but destructor they work internally. The C++ has destructor method. The primary responsibility of the destructor method is releasing dynamic memory. Sometimes it's called cleanup. Sometimes it is called cleanup. That means whenever work is done, just we clean up, right? So then it releases the occupied memory space. Okay. And we discuss operator overloading. Operator overloading means an operator can be used for multiple purposes. For instance, we know that plus operator is used mathematician or young student. But whenever we are very young student, right? We knew that plus is used to add two numbers only, right? But in programming languages, now we know that the plus operator is used to concatenate or combine two strings also, as well as it adds two numbers. So changing or defining a new functionality of an existing operator is called operator overloading. And through operator overloading, an existing operator's functionality is changed. It is not creating a new operator. Just functionality, adding additional functionalities. Okay. Okay, also please make sure that you understand the quiz questions and the assignments. Okay. Not the last assignments, the assignment that is not due, all other previous assignments, and make sure that you understand. And chapter 5 is called linked list. Linked list is a dynamic data structure. That is based on node, and each node is linked with another node. Okay, the second node here is linked with the first node. Third node is linked with the second node. This link is not with the previous node. Okay, and like a chain. So node is the main element of a linked list, and a node contains two things: some data elements, okay, and some functions. Okay, some functions. So you know the class, declare as a class. You see that the data element, data value, and another is a link field, data field and link field. That two things. The link field is type of node. A node is a class, any type. It can be a student, it can be an employee, it can be a neighbor. Okay. In generally, we say node. Node can contain some data and some functions also. So it's called a head pointer and tail pointer, right? So in the head pointer always point to the first node, and tail pointer it always point to the last node. So here the head, the head pointer, it will hold the pointer of the first node, and the tail pointer, it will hold the address of the last node. If the last node has address is null or blank, for instance, we can say, or nil, that means we know that is the last point node and there is no more node.
But aren't we missing something here? Because we've never really pointed the head pointer to the head or the tail pointer to the tail. So like both head pointer and tail pointer in that declaration are just going to be the default values in the constructor, right?
So let us see that two declaration of the head pointer. We have the question here, right? So node, head pointer and tail pointer, they have the data type node. The type is node. Okay. So here the declaration of a node is here, and the declaration of 2 points, the node pointer and head pointer and tail pointers. Okay. And their type also No. Okay, now, so are you clear about this page? This page? Okay. So let us see this one. Okay. There is another pointer is called null pointer. Null pointer, that means blank, nil. So in programming language perspective, it is the word is used null, all in uppercase null. So this figure illustrates the linked list with the null pointer at the final link. So this is the final link or last node. Okay. So instead of pointing here, that for instance here is pointing, right? So the previous is pointing like this, giving this arrow, it means pointing symbol over here. So we are writing null over here. That means we no longer point this one with any more node. That means this is the last node. So this null actually it indicates null pointer. So which is in C++ constant, special constant. So now we can use the null pointer for any pointer value that has no place to point. There are two common situations where the null pointer is used. Number one, use the null pointer for the linked field of the final node of a linked list. This is shown over here. Okay. This is the last node. And another situation is that when a linked list is empty, the linked list is just declared. There is no element yet, no node yet. So the entire thing is a linked list, okay? The entire thing is a linked list. Linked list. So linked of what list? Linked list of what? If you ask a question, linked list of what? The answer is linked list of nodes. Okay. Linked list of nodes. So each of these is a node. So this is node 1. So this is node, and this is node. Okay. So this is node 1. And this is another node. And this is another node. So in a linked list, if there are some existing nodes, then we use the null pointer to denote the last node. But if there is a linked list without any node, that is an empty linked list. So the case is second case over here. When a linked list does not yet have any nodes, use the null pointer for the value of the head pointer and tail pointer. Okay, but before we discuss this, maybe we can discuss another thing. Say 4.5 is value, and it has a pointer. Okay, so if there is only one node, this is only node. Okay, node 1. If there is only one node in a linked list, then which one is the head and which one is the tail? Which one is the head pointer and which one is the tail pointer? Can you please tell me?
For the linked list N1 there at the top,
Yes.
they would just be the same node.
Here, this is head pointer. And this is also tail pointer. It holds some address. We don't know the address. Okay, for instance, we are holding this address is star, any value. So if there is only one L node in a linked list, then that is, it has head. Okay, the head pointer, it has pointer, that is the head pointer and tail pointer. Okay, but for instance, if there is no node, there is no node. I cannot draw of nothing. Can we draw of nothing? In mathematics, if there is nothing, we use symbol 0, right? And visually, if we do not, we say if we do not have any money, right? If we do not, if my wallet, if I don't have any money in my wallet, okay, or if I don't have anything in my hand, inside my hand, okay, grab it, okay. Then can we show something that this is the thing I have? No, right? So if you don't have anything, how can you show that thing? Who can tell me? Okay, so if I ask you, hey, show me your laptop, but if you tell me, hey, I don't have any laptop, then is there any way that other than any way that instead of telling that I don't have any laptop, can you show me any laptop? No, right? So, but in mathematics, we put symbol 0. That means we do not have anything. Okay. In programming perspective, we use null pointer. Okay. That means we have nothing. But null is something, right? The word null is something. But please do not be confused with this null. Okay, that I'm telling there is nothing, but I'm showing that I have null. Null is like, for instance, 0 in mathematics. Okay. And in programming language is called null. Okay. So then if is empty, if it does not anything, okay, it does not. For instance, we can show in programming, in drawing perspective, if I do not have any value over here, if I do not have any value over here, okay, then we say that is null. Okay, that's empty. Then we say this one is null. Okay. So in that case, what is the head pointer value? Head pointer value is null. So this is the declaration of node head pointer, and head pointer equal to null. So this is a good note, the null pointer. The null pointer is a special C++ pointer value that can be used for any pointer that does not point anywhere. It is defined as null in C++ standard library file. Standard is CSTD, standard library file. Null is not a part of the standard namespace. As you write, so you write So you write null, so without std. So null is not a part of the standard std namespace. Standard namespace. So we don't need to write std ::. Just we write null. Okay. Now go to the here. So the node constructor, actually node constructor is used to, someone asked me a question, how do we construct this one? So node constructor is used to link, okay, to create the node and to link that, okay. So you see that here constant node and then link, initial link is null for any object, okay. So for node object is node will be null. For instance, whenever we create some node object, whenever we create some node objects, then what will happen? So the object will be something like this. This value is empty and this value is null. This value is null. Okay, as many objects you create, this value will be empty and this value will be null. This value will be null. Okay. So the default value here we use we assign default value for initial data. Here is the initial data. Here is the initial data field. Okay, data field and then link field. Okay, two fields over there. So here the default value of data is listed as initial data equal to value type. Okay, value type is a constructor. This notion means that the parameter named init data has a default argument that is created by the value type default constructor. So C++ has value type is a type, built-in type, and that has a constructor. How do we know that is constructor? It has a parenthesis without also the exact name of the class name. Okay, this is the new version. So here we say P equal to new node. So if we declare a node P as a new node and we say that P's initial link will be set to null. Okay, and then P will set initial value. So here node is pointing to an integer value. You know that from here. From where? Is double type over here. Okay, double type. So this is double type over here. So initial value it will take 0.0 for double type. Okay, and then value will be the pointing value will be null. Okay, so but if we define a value instead of this is initial, then we say it will take this value. Okay, and another node over here, and this P is over here. R is a new node. That means this R node is linked with another node P. Okay, so for instance, look at here. P is a node with 0 value and null, and you declare a Q another node with value 4.9. Okay, this is Q, and another node with value 1.6 that is point with P. So you created Q after P. That does not mean that Q will be linked with P. you need to link. How do you link it over here? So like this is the node constructor. So here you will put the new node. So whenever declare creating a node P, this value of the new 1.6 the value of the for new node R, and it is linked with P. So here R is created after Q. That does not mean that R will be automatically linked with P. We need to link explicitly. Okay, the node has some member functions. For instance, the node class has data types, and node class have we saw that this has constructor, and this is the node constructor. Okay, and it may have other data type. So this is the constructor. This is the method of this this is the link of this line related to this constructor. Okay, so in my program that I shared with you, I rearrange this in good format, or you can do it as you understand. Okay, this is the set data setter method, and this is the set link. Okay. Okay, it does not have getter, right? You could say and write a getter method, and it would return. Oh, so this is actually is a data type. Thus, this data method is the actually here is setter method. It returns the data fields. This data is setter method. They did not give name setter, but getter method. This data is getter method. They could say get data, but they did not say. I would say, for instance, get data like this. Get underscore data. So it is constant. Okay, so it does not. So you can rename this as get data for easy understanding with other languages. And so this is that thing. Okay, how head pointer is initialized. Okay, using arrow operator. So please read these pages, and then you will understand how the head pointer is initialized. Someone send me an email asking me to discuss this, and you see that, for instance, head pointer dot data, you will get the head pointer value. So this method actually get data method is getter method. So that book, it does not explicitly tells this is a getter method, so maybe the confusing is coming from here. Okay, and this is actually feeder data. This is the getter method, and this is the setter method. Okay, so read this please, and then hopefully you will understand. And then the link method actually is get link. Get link method, it is the link, return the link field. Okay, but they did not put getter and setter method. So but few these pages, read these few pages, then you will understand how the head pointer is initialized. The second pointer will be this one. The second node, address of the second node will be the head, then arrow link. So okay, so head pointer is pointing this, and its link, it is returning link from this. So that means it will give the address of this one. So maybe your question was, who asked me this question? Are you here? Okay. So then how will be the third one? If there is another one, if there is another pointer, another node over here, how can I get the link of the third one? Okay. Third one will be the, instead of head pointer over here, we will write second dot link. That will give the link of the address, link of the third node. And if you say third dot link, and then you're setting data to here, that means this data will go here, that will be, sorry, that will be replaced, will go here. So that means that will be, so it will go here initially, 9.2 will go here. So that means its previous value will be replaced. So no longer is 3.0 will be staying here, it will get new value. Okay, so read this, then you will understand. So this method is, you can rename this method as get link, which returns the link field. Read this, then you will get, it should be clear. Okay, so but still, if you're clear, if you need help, please then okay, then I send you an email of that program in last lecture. So the implementation of some of the toolkit methods. Okay, and for the test, be prepared, study for the linked list. Some of the little bit simple linked list methods. That's all for the test. So if you follow this lecture and the discussion, this will be your test questions from test 1. Does anyone has any question?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. We will, whatever I discuss, and I will upload this video today. And if you need help to recap, watch this video. And then you will get. Thank you so much. Good luck for you. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
So will you please look at the announcement for the test? Okay. There will be 6 to 10 questions. Thank you.